All right, let's do it. It's weather for Weather Geeks time here on the 11th day of July here in 2016. Next couple of weeks, really the heart of summer, I think, as far as when you look at a temperature curve of the summer season. I think the average temperatures will be at their peak over the next couple of weeks, and that's, right on par with climatology. Our average highs, when you look back at 30 and 40-year records, always peak in the middle of July. 86 is what we reached earlier on today. 88 in Cleveland, 88 in Pittsburgh, 91 in New Philly. I'm from New Philadelphia. My parents live there, and I should tease my dad. I think he's running to the airport there and putting a flamethrower or something on the thermometer at New Philly, because it's been running warm all summer. I'm not sure by the 91 today. Anyway, dew points this evening, when I recorded this a little before 8, still in the tolerable zone. Yes, it was a warm day today, but it was not all that muggy. 59, the current dew point in Youngstown. Similar numbers throughout northeast Ohio and into western parts of PA. This evening, we have some severe weather threats up in the upper Midwest, Minnesota, parts of Iowa, Nebraska, and there's been some gusty, heavy storms down in parts of the Carolinas this afternoon and early this evening. Here's what we expect over the next couple of days here. Now, tomorrow is going to look a lot like today. It's going to feel a lot like today, just be a few degrees warmer. We might finally hit our first 90 of the season tomorrow afternoon. I think we've got a pretty good chance at that. 89 or 90 tomorrow. This warm front I have on our map here is the leading edge of that higher dew point air. It's not quite here tomorrow, but it will certainly be here on Wednesday. Wednesday, a much more humid day. And with the increase in humidity, there's not much of a trigger, but there could be a pop-up air mass thunderstorm in a few spots Wednesday afternoon, early Wednesday evening. Not expecting any severe weather with that. Maybe a hard downpour in some spots. That may change as we go into the day on Thursday. What we have is a cold front approaching. Now, this isn't the strongest front in the world. Most July fronts are not. But it, of course, is running into very hot and humid air mass. And so, not so much in the morning, but in the afternoon and evening on Thursday, there could be some heavy storms around. Let's talk about those dew points. Dew points, I think, will be in the same ballpark tomorrow that they were in today. Upper 50s to around 60, which for most people is tolerable, especially in July. Now, if it was April, we'd be saying, oh, it's muggy. But in July, a dew point of 58 or 60 actually is not bad at all. That said, when the temperature is 90, it's hot no matter which way you slice it. But look what happens on Wednesday. Here comes that soupy air. We'll have dew points in the upper 60s to around 70, even in the afternoon on Wednesday. And yeah, that means one of the most uncomfortable days of the summer coming our way on Wednesday. The heat index tomorrow will be similar to the temperature because of the relatively low dew points, but the heat index on Wednesday will probably be a few degrees above the actual temperature with that increase in dew points. So, to your body, which is trying to regulate your temperature, it might as well be 92 or 94 degrees on Wednesday, because it has to work as hard as it would as if it were 93 or 94 degrees on Wednesday. That's generally what the heat index means. The temperature your body thinks it is when it's trying to cool you. Real quickly, a word on Thursday. Here's a look at one of our instability parameters, convective available potential energy, CAPE for short. Plenty of CAPE around on Thursday. It's going to be hot, it's going to be humid. CAPE values up over probably 1,500 to 2,000 joules, and that's certainly enough to get thunderstorms, and there'll be plentiful instability for maybe some heavy gusty storms during the afternoon on Thursday. And look at the dew points. Now, this is overdone, no doubt, on this is the GFS model that populates this graph. The dew point is not going to be 77 on Thursday, but it'll probably be 70 or so. Just yuck, Wednesday and Thursday with the humidity in the air. But look what happens behind that front. Now, there's not a big temperature change. It'll be on the order of 4 or 5 degrees. This will be kind of a similar front to the one we just had Saturday. If you remember Saturday, it was still a warm day. It got into the lower 80s, but it was less humid, and there was a nice breeze. And I think Friday will be kind of similar to that. A noticeable change compared to the last couple of days in terms of the moisture content in the atmosphere. I posted this earlier on. The 8 to 14 day outlook remains very hot. Now, the heat is going to be centered in the middle of the country. This is where it's going to be hottest compared to average. But we'll probably be on the fringes of this, which means we're not going to see 98 degrees or anything like that. But could we see a couple of 90 degree temperatures next week? Sure. That's a possibility as well. And here's a look at the jet stream pattern. I'm showing you this for a couple of reasons. One, to show you where that heat will indeed be centered. First things first, here's Friday, the jet stream driving that cool front down through the Midwest and the Great Lakes and giving us that refreshing change for Friday and into Saturday. But then look at the heat dome that's going to build as we go into the middle of next week. This is Sunday, but watch what happens then middle of next week. That big bulge developing out of the middle of the country. That is some serious heat underneath this ridge in Dallas and Oklahoma City and Kansas City and places like that. Now, we'll be on the fringes of this, and a lot of times what happens in this kind of a pattern where you get a big ridge right in the middle of the country is you get blow-ups of thunderstorms on the north side of the ridge. And then, just like coming down the hill of a roller coaster, they cascade through the Midwest and into the Ohio Valley. So we're going to have to keep on the lookout for some heavy gusty storms from time to time during the middle, perhaps latter portions of next week, with some clusters perhaps diving out of the Midwest and heading our way. We need the rain, that's for sure. Here's a look at the European ensemble model forecast rainfall totals over the next 10 days, taking us out through the 21st. The average shown here is roughly an inch or so. We need more than that. An inch over 10 days isn't a whole lot. I'd like to see this up closer to 2 inches over 10 days. But notice the rains will be a little more plentiful on the northern side of that ridge out across the upper Midwest. Thank you for watching Weather for Weather Geeks. That's it for tonight. I'll see you tonight on 21 News at 11. The Tuesday edition of Weather for Weather Geeks will be online about the same time. First edition goes on by about 8 with an encore or a rerun, if you will. I usually post that on Facebook right around 10 o'clock.